Hello everyone, welcome all. Hope you are doing good and hunting and earning lots and lots of money. So, welcome to this teaser course of AndroHunter, that is basically Android app hunting bug bounty course. And in this teaser today, I'm gonna show you one of the topics that I'm gonna cover in much more detail in my course. So today I'm going to show you browsable API exploit. What does that mean? That is a component in mobile application which is mostly not being tested because of lack of knowledge and how to navigate through the code. But believe me, this gives us a lot of money. And let's walk through it and let's see how to exploit it and what all setup you're gonna need. This particular course is going to be launched in collaboration with HackersEra. That is my dear friend Vikash Chaudhary. And yep, this is going to be a dynamic course where each and every content is going to be very pretty much similar to what structure he has been putting it up, the same quality, and it's going to be dynamic, so keep on adding whenever a new exploit comes in or a new vulnerability kicks in. It's going to be added up into the list. If there are any exploits that are missing, um, it will be taken into comments and the exploits will be uploaded into it as well. So let's come back to the teaser. Here I'm gonna launch my Jarex. So that's my code review tool. As you can already see, it has one of the file loaded up. What I'm gonna show you is this is the package name, and uh, this particular package we're gonna analyze. We're gonna see how we can exploit it. So to exploit it, the first and foremost thing that we're gonna need here is to understand where to look for it and how to proceed further from there. Okay, so to look for it, to identify this particular vulnerability, open your Android manifest file and look for a term called as browsable. Yep. So once you find this particular tag means or entry means the listed activity. It has the tag called as browsable can be launched via URL. Now what does it mean? I'll quickly show you what does it mean. So I'll open up my Genymotion, and as you can see, here is one of the app which is already loaded up. What I'll do, I'll just close this app. That's okay. I'll just put, yep, it's closed. So now I have one of the servers already running in that you can see in the screen. That's my Python HTTP server. And what this particular server is hosting, it's hosting a plain, a simple, um, you can say HTML page, whose code looks somewhat like this. As you can see, it is nothing having much important code, just a URL, typically in Android application style. Okay, so let's go back and see how we can actually trigger any application using URL. So first go to browser, open that particular URL and click on it. As soon as I click, you can see there is one app which is ready to be triggered using this particular URL. So that's how a URL can trigger an application. Now it depends on scheme. What does it mean? A scheme, I'll show you in just a moment. So as you can see here in this particular category, there is a tag called a scheme. These three keywords whenever will be hit http colon www.betterhelp.com or https abc.com or this particular URL, this particular activity is gonna hit up. Fine. Now how this is vulnerable, why it is vulnerable, and where the vulnerability lies. Let's analyze this particular activity. So to identify, what we need to do is we need to jump into the code. Yes, we need to understand the code a little bit. That don't worry. While learning in this course, you will eventually learn how to do that. So once you are into this particular main activity, you need to quickly look for one keyword, that is Control F on resume. What does it mean? So each and every activity has four identifiers. on start, on resume, on back button pressed, and on pause. So these are the four actions performed whenever you hit back button or a center button, or you switch to another application. So these four actions happen. In on resume, what is happening? We'll just go through this code and we'll try to exploit it. So this is a pretty much syntax in every function you will see. This is the name of it. This is the return type that I'll explain later. And this is the access modifier. Now you need to ignore these two lines first of all. The main code starts from here. Intent is equal to get intent. Now what does it mean, intent? So each and every activity in mobile application has to perform some objective. That objective is called as intent. So whenever you will open a login screen, it has an intent or an objective to show you login screen and functionality to login. That is called as intent. Similarly, here the intent is to open the activity. I'll just quickly copy this line and move to Sublime and paste it there, just for our understanding what we are going through. So here objective is to open activity. What activity is this? It is main activity. Fine. Let's go back and let's see what actually main activity holds. So once you are here, you can see the next line. Now most of you who doesn't know coding, this is a very basic way of matching and doing something. So here this is a variable named as scheme. What it is matching? It is matching the above value and it is checking whether it is null or not. If it is null, then it will be having this value. If it is not null or it has some value, then it will be having this value. Obviously, it has some value. This line has some value. That is why the URL is able to open it. So that means this particular variable string scheme is gonna hold some value. I'll again paste it just to understand it in a better way. So here string scheme will hold this particular line or this particular value. Fine. But what is this value? So to quickly check it, we need to move back to our android.manifest file because that is where this is defined. Let me quickly open Android manifest file. Here you can see there are three schemes and these are the schemes that that particular variable is gonna hold. Okay, so now you understood what scheme is and what it holds, right? So let me quickly take you back there on the Sublime and I will write here it will hold either HTTP or HTTPS or maybe better help app because these are the three schemes we have seen. Fine, let's move back and see what next in why and how it is vulnerable. So I'm gonna navigate next to see. This is a check, just the check that we just did. So if scheme has value HTTP or HTTPS or better help app, then only this condition is gonna be true. So yes, it will be having either of the three. Fine. The next line is the vulnerable line. So keep a note of it. This line is the most vulnerable line. Why? Because this line directly takes data from the URL. That means this is the data. ABC is equal to attacker. This is gonna be hold in the data string. So it is not validating anything. It is just taking the data. Let's look how it is performing the next operations. Yeah, let's quickly look. So as you can see, this particular line, it is most vulnerable. So let's see how it next performs the operation. Next, it checks whether it is HTTP or HTTPS. If either of them, then it will be simply loading up the URL, whatever the data string says. Bingo. That means if any URL holds HTTP or HTTPS, and rest of the part it will be loaded up by data string. Fine. So that means you can pass on any kind of URL here and it will load. Okay, now how to exploit it? Let's see how to exploit it. That is the next step. And yeah, so to exploit it, I'm gonna need ADB. As you can see, my ADB has triggered. And what I'm gonna write here, I'm gonna also need Genymotion. So let's bring up the Genymotion as well. Yep, here it is. Let me quickly shut it down everything. Yes, I did. Now I'll quickly close all the activities which are opened up. As you can see, there is nothing opened up in the recent bar and everything is cleaned up. Fine. So let's switch over to our ADB console. Here we are. Now to trigger this particular exploit or a vulnerability, what you need ADB, and this particular ADB should be connected to your Genymotion where your app is installed. Yeah. The next step is, as you can see in my screen, yeah, here none of the apps are opened up currently. So next what I'm gonna do, next I'm gonna simply write a command into this ADB console, ADB shell activity manager start. Now this is a typical command, -n. Hyphen is just for to start an activity. First you need to put the name of the package. So what is the name of the package? As you all have seen in the JADX, on the top most section, if you will go, you will see com.betterhelp, or simply com.betterhelp is the name of the package. Yep. Okay, let's go back and write that name, com.betterhelp. Yep, this is the package name. Now next you need to write it down, the activity name. So as you have seen, the activity name is main activity. Yeah, the activity name is main activity. What next you need to put in? You need to put in, since we have seen it is loading up the data part, so we need to put the data string here. So -d is a switch for the data string, and anything you put inside is gonna be loaded up in the URL. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna quickly open one of my locally hosted page, 192.168.2:8000 slash. Yeah, so here it is. Yep, so here you can see what I've written: ADB shell AM activity manager start -n package name, and then the activity name which we are supposed to start, and the data that we are going to pass here. So as we have seen in the JARX, while reviewing this code, here this particular line is loading up the URL without validating whether the URL is legitimate or not. So there is the vulnerability. That means any application can trigger and load up any URL in this particular application. Now the impact is pretty low right now, But in my course, I'll show you how the impact can be maximized because there are more further exploits to it. Yeah. So for now, I'm gonna demonstrate it. So if you are able to see ADB, yeah, it is here. So I'm gonna quickly switch back and I'm gonna show you whether you is there any application opened up. No application opened up. Cool. So I'm gonna hit start in the ADB shell and quickly just watch the, yep, now here in the Jenny motion I'll show you that this particular URL is loaded up in the BetterHelp app. Now this is much more similar to arbitrary URL loading within the controlled application. As you can see, we have clearly demonstrated it. Now what next? Next is, because the POC cannot be using ADB shell, the POC has to be using some application, rogue application installed in someone's device. Okay, so let's build an application and then do the same activity. Okay, so to develop an active application to exploit it, what we need is Android Studio. So go ahead and download it, and once you will download it, you will be able to see it somewhat like this in the beginning. What we are doing essentially here, we're gonna start a new Android Studio project. So I'm gonna start new Android Studio project. I just want a basic empty activity. I don't want anything to see or something, so I'll click on next and I'll name it as browsable API exploit. So I'm gonna change the name of this package. That's gonna be test, let's say, and yeah, and I'll click on this. Rest looks all fine. I'll just click on finish. And the best thing about Android Studio is you don't need to code much. Everything is pretty much already coded. So it's just few lines of code that you need to write and your exploit application is ready. So here, as you can see, things are coming up. What I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna write a very basic code here to exploit this activity. And okay, so first thing first, to do anything I need to bring in intent. Intent is equal to new, oops, new intent, yep, yeah, and then intent dot set. Now next thing, where we are targeting, what we are targeting, so we are targeting a class file of an application. So the way we put it into the uh, ADB, similar way we need to put in here. So set class name, you can see here, and in the class name, first of all what you need to write is com dot better help is the package name, comma, and yep, you need to double quote it because you are just doing it hard coding. So double code it. Here you can see automatically Android Studio will take everything, and then again in the double quotes you can write com dot better help dot main activity. So yep, your target activity is set. What you need to do next, it needed the data, so we need to set the data. Intent dot set data. Now can you see automatically it is coming. What is the data? So in double quotes you can put in http on any URL that you want. Yeah, my data is set. Okay, I'm pretty much ready to start it, but since that data is showing an error because it needs to be taken as URI. So what we can do here, URI dot parse parse and then this. So as soon as you write, oops, URI, yep. So as soon as you can see, sorry, I'll just cut it. URI dot parse, it should come. Yeah, so that's right, parse and then the rest of the thing. Now it is showing something as parse cannot resolve java.lang.string. There is some error into it. And to resolve this, all we need to do is, my mistake, I put in like, now here we don't need this thing. All we need is intent dot set class name. That is also fine. So our target is set, that is where we are targeting, what data we are targeting. Now all we need is to start activity and pass the intent. So intent is gonna be intent that we just created. Yep. Save it, go to build and rebuild project. Once the rebuilding is done, we can have an APK nice and clean. So I'll keep on this going. So here you can see, I mean, it is not a typical thing that you need to look into code, but yes, there are steps that you need to perform. But the screenshot that I'm gonna show you after this, at the end of this um, teaser, will make this efforts worth it. So yeah, our this thing is ready. Let's build the APK. So APK is already done. Here we can locate it. So click on it. Here is our APK. I'm gonna rename it to better just for our sake. Okay, and as you can see on just clicking it, we can have a look. Next is what? Next is, let's go to Genymotion and get that APK installed. Yeah, so you can just drag and drop in Genymotion if you know it properly. So I'm just dropping it here. You can see a pink circle, pink outline border. That means I'm dropping something. I'm dropping here my application. As soon as this gets installed, bingo, you can see better help is again showing me vulnerable page, and behind is what we just developed, browsable API exploit. It's a plain APK, but whenever it will trigger or whenever you will click on, let me just clean this one. Yep, yep. So whenever you will click on the custom developed APK, that is browsable APK, I think that is going to be, yeah, here it is. So I'll click on this again, and once it is triggered, what will happen every time hover is gonna, this better help is gonna load up some random page. So that is the overall exploit that we have seen, how we can develop, how we can exploit. This is just one of the section, or I should say this is just one of the very least section uh, of my course. Lot of technical stuff it's gonna be there. Lot of work around reading through codes, writing malicious apps, and developing a better POC, cleaner POC. So I'll just quickly show you the screenshot how much dollars they gave me. So as you can see, this was reported, and here you can see the reward that has been given and the points as well. So yeah, the dollars are decent, and it looks good when we receive. So I will recommend everyone to join this course and see how it can help you. We have just seen the glimpse of it. Uh, there is a detailed list of this course that's gonna be out soon, and you will find it really interesting. So, okay, thank you all for your patience and time, and have a good night. Enjoy.